What is going on, my fellow garbage men? It is I, the Biotrash Man here, and today I want to talk about, has War Thunder Ground Forces changed for the better? So let me explain what I mean by hasn't changed for the better. I mean, recently many patches and updates have come out that have changed Ground Forces dramatically since even the last time I've posted a video about it. But even since, if you go back and look at my first videos of War Thunder Ground Forces, it's changed a lot. While overall it kind of just, like I said, generally looks the same, it's very different from what it was. So I just want to point out if these changes have been good for Ground Forces or have they been bad, not has they been bad. So the first thing I want to, of course, is there's new tanks out and the trees are a bit more fleshed out. There's a bit more variety in what you can drive, and that's definitely good. I mean, that's never a bad thing for diversity and, a bit more of a complex experience. I've always found that is generally a good thing, especially in a vehicle-based combat game, because that can be very repetitive. I know that's one of the hard parts about War Thunder, and even World of Tanks, is that even in the planes, it takes forever to get out of Tier 1, and the planes are kind of all the same. You're like, nah. There's not much variety to it, so that's definitely a good thing, and we're kind of going to skim over that. That's not a huge thing I feel like we need to talk about. One thing that's definitely catching hopefully everyone's eye, and especially if you play the game, is better graphics, which definitely enhance the game. I don't know if any of you guys have had this problem, but I'm having a bit of a optimization issue. I feel like the game is a bit less optimized. I have a pretty decent rig. It's not horrible. It's not the best out there, but it's not bad. And on the high settings, I'm still having problems at the very beginning of the game where I can barely pull 30 frames per second. You can see it at the start of this episode. As the game goes on later, though, my computer, of course, picks it up, can bring it up to about 60 frames a second steady, but it's still very annoying about that start. So I don't know if it's just me, but I almost feel like the game has become less optimized as time has gone on. Not that War Thunder's ever been the most optimized of games out there, but it definitely, it's just not folding together as well for a package. It's a bit more scattered in that steadiness. I mean, later in the game it does do fine, and I'm sure if I turned down my graphic settings it'd be perfectly okay. But I personally prefer the higher settings for it looks nicer, it's prettier to look at, and for a vehicle-based combat game, like I said, I prefer my games to look pretty, same as my first-person shooters, because graphics I feel like definitely enhance just violent-based video games. That sounds awful, but if I was playing like Mass Effect or something, I wouldn't care as much. Another thing I've definitely felt that has improved it greatly is in realistic games. You can still respawn in tanks. Before it was no penalty of respawning, but now you have SP, which you have to use to respawn with, which I feel like definitely makes the game a bit more interesting because there's actually a consequence for respawning, and it keeps it from just being deathmatchy in arcade, which I know, like, especially planes is basically just deathmatch, which I'm fine with. It can be fun, but I definitely don't want that in tanks because I'm not the best at combat, if you have never noticed. But I feel like it's a bit more interesting if I feel like I'm having a really good game and I want to see it out till the end and I'm having a good impact. I can choose to spend this. If this is just a bad game for me, I can just justify leaving out and just be like, nope, I'm out, homie, I'm outie. So I feel like that's a good input they've put into the game, and I feel like they should definitely do a bit more with that, please. But yeah, so that's just a personal opinion there. I prefer the less respawns. I know some of you actioner people that just want a mind-numbing game, which is fine if you want that. I mean, I like playing Call of Duty from time to time, Battlefield, those are mostly just mind-numbing. But, I prefer a bit more of a strategic experience. I mean, that's just who I am, so that's me personally, this leads me to my third thing I want to talk, well, really fourth, but, my fourth thing I want to talk about, which is I feel the game is a lot slower, but in a good way. I still feel arcade is fast-paced, just shoot 'em up, don't really care about winning or losing, and that, you know, that's fine. That's what arcade is for. Definitely in Planes too. Planes, that's a different video. I feel like Planes has gotten a hell of a lot better, but we're just talking about Ground Forces here. I feel like it's a much more slower and a bit more evenly paced game. You're definitely thinking a lot more, definitely a bit on your toes more. You can't just tank the hits like you could before 1.43. Because I used to have that thing, like I could just drive out, take 20 hits, still knock out 8 people, and then be like, oh, I'm done, homie. I'm outie. So I feel like that's nice, that I don't have to worry about that. You also, it's just, I feel like there's more planning involved in the game. It's less, I mean, you're going to see some errors here I make in the gameplay. For example, we kind of all 3 of us go to the enemy flag, and that's quite a mistake because we kind of left our area open, and that kind of allowed the enemy to come and take that, and we ended up losing the game. I didn't respawn at all because I just wanted to continue on, but I felt like it's a bit more, there's some planning involved. You actually have to think about where the tank positions are. I have a bit of a problem with that. I mean, I do the same thing in League of Legends. I suck at that. But I definitely like the slower paced, evenly paced gameplay. There's more planning involved, a bit more strategy involved. It's not just go gun-ho and shoot 'em up, which I'm fine with in arcade. And arcade is kind of a different story. I've never really felt like arcade has changed. It just kind of, arcade to me has always been the same, except in Planes it's changed. But I know I'm saying changed a lot, but that's kind of the entire point of the video. But you may have noticed that most of these are about realistic battles, and a big part of that is I feel like if I'm playing War Thunder, I want to play realistic. I play arcade still on Planes. I just find it a lot more enjoyable, but I definitely think Ground Force is more of a realistic game, and so if you haven't played realistic yet, try it out. Maybe your cup of tea, may not be. You'll never know until you try it. So that's just my personal opinion there. You should definitely go out and check it out. So I feel like, is there anything else I wanted to mention for this? Okay. Definitely also, I feel like all the tanks, well, the 2 tanks right now are kind of balanced. They're not so horribly outbalanced, because I know early Germans were a lot better than the early Russians in my personal opinion, and then later on the Russians started to exceed the Germans, but I feel like they've kind of balanced them out recently. Like I said, you can no longer tank shots, and that's really a good thing. Oh, and you also, when you hit someone, you get a mini window to see where you hit them, and that's really interesting. Like, it doesn't add to the gameplay at all, but I'm like, ooh, that's cool, it's pretty looking. So that's something I can kind of you know, be a little bit of a dirtbag. That's just my personal flavor of the day. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Please remember these are my own personal opinions. I feel like the game overall has changed for the better, but you may not. If you feel differently, leave them in the comment section below. I'll be sure to check them out. This is the BioTrashman signing out.